In that game last night, let me play you a piece of audio that we all saw. And this was Peter Schrager. This was of course, you had the regular Monday Night Crew, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck on the early game. And then the late game, you had Peter Schrager and company with Chris Fowler and Louis Riddick and Dan Orlowski, who I thought did a real good job on the broadcast. But this was a scene that was early on in the game. This is Peter Schrager doing the sidelines. Listen to this. Let's see if I can get you. So this is what you got: the Raiders playing at home in the Roomba, known as Allegiant Stadium, right?
The Death Star.
The Death Star, as we call it. And here we go. Here.
Tom Brady, who is in the house and is with the coach's box tonight. I was wondering how much Brady really had an involvement with this team. We hear so much about Brady as the owner. Chip Kelly told us that he talks to Brady 2 to 3 times a week. They go through film, they go through the game plan, and Brady is a luxury for the coaches. Who else has an owner who's actually been there and done that?
All right, so there's Peter Schrager breaking it down. And so this is how intimately involved Tom Brady is. And I will say this for Pete Carroll, for Chip Kelly, for the new general manager there, you'd be a fool not to include Tom Brady in all of this. I mean, he's one of the sharpest football offensive minds in the game. And what he learned from Bill Belichick. If he owns part of your team, you want him in those meetings. You want him and every ounce of information you can wring out of him like a sponge every day. And Tom Brady sounds like he's willing. He talks to Chip Kelly all the time. And then he sits in the booth during the game.
Yeah, he's obsessed with winning. We know this.
And he's one of the most competitive people that's ever laced up sports cleats or shoes.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be associated with a bad franchise. He wants to help.
Okay, then that's fine. Good for him.
But
you can't work at Fox then.
No.
And be the lead analyst on football games because, well, you can't. And we said this a year and a half ago. It can't happen. And why the NFL is allowing it, I have no idea. NFL is now a power owner of ESPN, and they're in bed together now after the deal. I've watched Get Up all morning long. I saw them talking about wrestling, because I guess they have a WrestlePalooza thing coming up on Sunday night. But they haven't talked about this Tom Brady issue one time. Why do you think that is? Maybe they're in bed with the NFL, and the NFL has said, don't make a big deal out of this. This is the show Get Up and then Stephen A. Smith that make a big deal about everything. And so think about this for Tom Brady. If you're saying, well, why is this a problem? Well, if he's in meetings 3 days a week with the offensive coordinator, his day job is to go meet with the Chicago Bears.
And get insight.
Who play the Cowboys on Sunday. And this is going to be this is why I think this story may spread this week, because it's not based on what we just heard from Peter Schrager. Because let's also say this: there are 32 teams in this league. What happens inside each one of their facilities is sacrosanct. You're not allowed. It's all our trade secrets. You're not allowed in. It's why they hate doing the Hard Knock show, and they try to sanitize
behind the curtain.
Our curtain. Stay out.
Yeah.
Trade secrets here. Bill Belichick was the most cloak and dagger coach ever, and that's who Tom Brady plays for. He knows this. But so now, through his job at Fox, he gets to go in and, by rule, I guess, be in meetings with Bears head coach Ben Johnson, talk to their coordinators, because, you want to be ready for the broadcast and be as polished as you can about what the plan is, what the game plan is. Well, the Bears, after you have those meetings with Ben Johnson this week, are playing the Raiders the next week. That's not okay. That cannot happen. Ben Johnson and the Bears should say, no, Tom Brady can do the game, but he's getting zero access. And the Cowboys should say the exact same thing, that no, I don't care if you're calling the game from the booth. You come nowhere near us. You come nowhere near a production meeting. We're not coming. And if you want to find me, find me. But no, you don't get to be in our meetings and have conversations, intimate stuff that we trust you to put on the broadcast, but not share too much. You're a professional. This is what you do as a broadcaster. But the next week we're playing your team that you own. This is, if there is ever a definition of conflict of interest in the E-Blast, that is it.
Yeah, 100%.
And why is the NFL not doing anything about that?
Because he's, I guess, signed that huge contract with Fox, and they're all in bed together, and it's all about money and dollar signs. But it is problematic. This is a classic.
Well, the only answer then is the Bears and the Cowboys say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Can't come near.
No, and
I'd rather you not be on the broadcast.
Right. I think he's limited from some meetings, but the fact that he even hasn't allowed in any meetings whatsoever is a conflict of interest, plain and simple. That's just what this is. And I get he is the greatest of all time. We can't make, when it comes to playing the quarterback position, we can't make exceptions just because of that. And we want to have him on Fox or whatever.
Well, and
I'm going to call it how it is. He's not the best broadcaster in the world.
Well, and that
he's just not.
But that has nothing to do with the conversation.
No, it doesn't.
Nothing.
It doesn't. I'm just saying that in general. What I'm saying is
he has to be one or the other.
That's it. Plain and simple.
He has to be one or the other.
Go help the Raiders out if you want.
If he wants to be a broadcaster,
Right.
But then you can't be an owner.
They're two separate things.
And if you want to be an owner who's intimately involved with the day-to-day operations of the team you own, which I have no problem with, you can't then be a broadcaster.
Well, they're just twisting the rules
time.
for him. That's the issue here. If this was anybody else, right? Unless it was Tom Brady.
But somebody's got to stand up to it.
Right.
Because clearly ESPN's not going to talk about it.
Well, last year this was talked about all the time, and then they've kind of made rules that he...
Well, because now they own ESPN.
Right.
And they're going to sit and talk about the tush push, which, again, you can talk about the tush push, but that's a pretty big deal.
It's different than offsides.
And so I
hope
we hear that the Bears have said, no thanks, you can't come near our facility, Tom, and don't even call. Like, because I understand they don't always go to the facility, but you do Zoom meetings, you do Zoom calls. Hey, let me talk to your
things
coordinators.
that you have to do.
This happens at every level.
Right.
They share information because they want the broadcast, and NFL teams know that the broadcast is what pays the bills and the TV rights. I get it.
They all work together, right?
But this is a whole new entity, and I think you all can see the obvious conflict of interest, and it shouldn't be happening. And why it is allowed to happen, I don't know. And
he's in the same booth with, you see Chip Kelly, just, caddy corner of him in the booth. I mean, legitimately, he's right down there with his offensive coordinator watching this game. And then, like you said, they're going to be playing Chicago in 2 weeks from now. He's going to get some insight. He's going to be in their locker room as close as he can be.
And as someone who will be, he hired his evaluation from his time in Tampa, hired the general manager. You don't think he's going to be going around the league advising, watching practices?
Yeah, spy tech, yeah.
Spy tech. I always said that's always a perfect name for Tom Brady's first general manager hire, spy tech coming from New England. But you don't think he's going to be helping spy tech evaluate talent and looking at guys who could be free agents, talking to guys who could be free agents? This is tampering at every level. This is conflict of interest at every level, and they're admitting it on Monday Night Football national television.
They're showing them.
And Peter Schrager, the insider, is saying, "Oh yeah, he's in meetings 3 days a week, and now he's going to go, talk to the Bears and the Cowboys about their game Sunday ahead of their game with the Raiders." That is very problematic.
Did you see how he lowered his chair when he kind of started to fade back a little bit?
Needs to step in now. I don't.
Jeez.
And Tom Brady's got plenty of money. If he's got to give up his paycheck from Fox, put him in the studio. You could make him an analyst, and he does pretty good on these podcasts. That's a whole different thing than game analysis at games, talking to teams and their coaches while you're going to play against those teams and coaches.